Hello everyone and welcome to another Genshin lore video. Today, I'll be going over the history of Lord Barbatos, the Anemo Archon of Mondstadt. I'll be going over the lore presented in the Skyward Weapons series, other weapons, and so much more. Also, if you like this video, consider subscribing. It helps me out a lot and I'd really appreciate it. Anyways, let's move right on and get into the video. "2,600 years ago, during the Archon War, Barbatos didn't have the name or the form that he has today. Back then, he was just a wind spirit or wisp among the Thousand Winds. Eventually though, he met a boy in Old Mondstadt who started to call him the Elf. This boy was the Nameless Bard, whose appearance is very similar to that of Ventis today. Now, Old Mondstadt was a huge city ruled by Decarabian, the god of storms and one of the kings of ice and frost. In modern times, it is mostly destroyed, and has taken on the name of Stormterror's Lair. Back then though, it was designed methodically by Decarabian, who believed his rule to be a good one. However, he also locked the city inside of a storm barrier. This was done to protect his people from the frigid blizzards of his rival god Andreas, the other king of ice and frost. No matter what Andreas did, he could not break through the storm barrier, leaving their conflict at a stalemate. In the city though, the people were not happy with Decarabian, and saw him as a tyrant. Even though Decarabian's actions were done to protect his people and keep them safe, they sought to overthrow him. A rebellion would begin soon after, spearheaded by the Nameless Bard alongside the small wind spirit. Amos, the original wielder of Amos's bow, would fight as well. She was actually Decarabian's former lover, and she felt genuine love for him. However, she eventually realized that he never loved her the same way that she loved him, so she joined the rebellion. Other fighters included Gunhildr, the namesake of the Gunhildr clan, and a red-haired warrior, likely an ancestor of the Ragnvindr clan. In the end, the rebellion was successful, and Decarabian was slain. The storm barrier would fall, and the people would be free to venture out into the world. However, not everyone survived the battle. Both the Nameless Bard and Amos would perish in the fight, though the Nameless Bard was able to see the tyrant fall before he passed away. After this, the prayers of the people of Old Mondstadt would resonate with the Wind Spirit, allowing him to gain substantial power and become Barbatos, the god of freedom. The death of Decarabian left a power vacuum in Mondstadt, with only Barbatos and Andreas left as candidates to become the Anemo Archon. However, because he believed himself incapable of love for humanity, Andreas conceded to Barbatos. He would allow his power to flow into Mondstadt and nourish the land, while also stopping his harsh blizzards. Andreas would also pass on because of this, but his spirit still resides in Wolvendom to this day. Now, with no other gods remaining in Mondstadt, Barbatos would ascend to the position of Anemo Archon. This was the end of the Archon War in Mondstadt, but it would continue around Tevat for 600 more years. Anyways, with his new power, Barbatos would first take up the form of the Nameless Bard in his memory. In combat, he would also use a bow, the signature weapon of Amos. After this, he began to terraform Mondstadt, shaping the land and climate into what they are today. Using the original Skyward Atlas, he would cleave mountaintops, summon rainfall, drive away vicious beasts, and more. Some of the mountaintops that he cut off would land far away into the ocean, becoming the Har Islands or the Golden Apple Archipelago. One of the mountains that he cleaved was known as Pylos Peak. This mountain was the tallest in Mondstadt, and even the most skilled of adventurers had trouble climbing it. Now though, the top of this mountain resides off the coast of Mondstadt. It is known as Musk Reef, and houses the entrance to the Spiral Abyss. Anyways, when the Archon War finally ended around Tavad, Barbatos would of course come out as the Anemo Archon of the Seven. Soon after, he would start visiting the neighboring nation of Liyue and its Archon Morax. While Morax originally thought Barbatos needed help, he was just there to give some wine from Mondstadt. Eventually, this led to the first iteration of the Seven gathering in Liyue Harbor. However, only 2 of the original 7 remain, those being Barbatos and Morax. Now, Barbatos is known as the god of freedom, and as such, he doesn't directly rule his people. According to him, this means that he's the weakest among the 7. However, due to his connections to the Thousand Winds and therefore Istaroth, I don't think he's telling the truth. Anyways, at some point, Barbatos decided to slumber for a long time, as if he wasn't directly ruling Mondstadt, there wasn't much else to do. Of course, he would wake up from time to time. One of these awakenings happened 1,000 years before the start of the game. At this time, Mondstadt was under the rule of the aristocracy. The Lawrence clan had grown into corrupt aristocrats, oppressing Mondstadt and taking away the freedom that the city was once known for. As the god of freedom, this upset Barbatos, so he decided to help stop the aristocracy. In his mortal disguise of Venti, he would talk to a Marautan named Vanessa. She was a slave of the Lawrence clan, who thought of her as a gladiator. Soon after the two met, Vanessa would be forced to face off against Ursa the Drake, a giant dragon. At first, this fight looked dire, but then Barbatos descended from the skies and helped Vanessa defeat the Drake. Vanessa's freedom would be won, and her rebellion against the aristocracy would begin. At some point in this rebellion, a secret treaty would be found that caused the soldiers of the Lawrence clan to defect and join the rebellion as well. You see, this treaty claimed that the nobles intended to sell their soldiers as slaves to the Geo-Archon of Liyue, Rex Lapis. Generations later, historians would find that this treaty was actually a fake, and there was no such deal with Rex Lapis. In fact, this treaty was forged by none other than Barbatos himself. Anyways, the rebellion would be successful, and freedom would be restored to Mondstadt. Vanessa would then form the Knights of Favonius and become the first Grand Master, with Venti visiting her from time to time. Now, at some unknown point, presumably after this, Venti would encounter the Hexen Circle. They wanted to challenge him, but he insisted that they make music, not war, and so no fight occurred. After that, the Hexen Circle would gather for tea parties around Mondstadt, meeting in all sorts of places. Anyways, 500 years before the start of the game, Barbatos would awaken once more to the cries of his people. This was the time of the Cataclysm, a terrible event that occurred all across Tavad. During this event, the Knights of Favonius sent an expedition to Conria to help fight against the abyssal monsters. However, during this expedition, the wolf pup Rostam would be killed. Rostam was best friends with Grandmaster Arendolan, and was also the lover of Rosalind Krushka Lohafalter. Due to Rostam's death, Arendolan would never fight again, and Rosalind would use her life's flame to become the Crimson Witch of Flame. Now, because Arendolan wouldn't fight, Mondstadt was left defenseless when the venomous dragon Durin appeared. Upon hearing his people's cries, Barbatos woke up and summoned Dvalin to help him fight Durin. Durin was created by the alchemist Rhindaughter, also known as Gold. Tragically, Durin was not aware of the carnage he was causing, with him thinking that the people were singing and that he was dancing in the sky with Barbatos and Dvalin. However, when Dvalin dealt the fatal blow, he saw the truth. As he fell down onto the mountain Vendagnir, later renamed Dragonspine, he said goodbye to the Bard and the Dragon, holding no ill will in his heart. Today, that very same heart still beats within Wormrest Valley. Now, During the battle, Dvalin ingested some of Durin's venomous blood, causing him to retreat to Old Mondstadt to rest for 500 years. As for what Barbatos did, we're not really sure. It is currently unknown if he ever went to Conria during the Cataclysm, or what he did if he did go there. We do know that this event soured his relationship with the Tsaritsa, causing her to cut all ties with him. They were said to have been close before, so Barbatos must have done something serious to cause that. Anyways, Barbatos would go to sleep once again after the Cataclysm, waking up a bit before the start of the game. Here, he would find Dvalin corrupted by abyssal energy, which was a result of the battle with Durin. Barbatos tried to establish a link with Dvalin to heal him, but he was accidentally interrupted by the Traveler and Paimon. As a result, Dvalin flew away and the link was severed, causing Barbatos to be infected with abyssal energy as well. He would then retreat, but we would find him later, where he introduces himself as Venti. Eventually, he would go to the symbol of Mondstadt's hero in Windrise, which is a giant oak tree. This tree is where the hero Vanessa ascended to Celestia, and it has the ability to heal the Anemo Archon. Anyways, Venti still wanted to save Dvalin, who was revealed to have been manipulated by the Abyss Order. With the additional help of Jean and Diluc and a showdown at Decarabian's tower, we are finally able to assist Venti in saving Dvalin. After this, we go to the Church of Favonius to return the now broken Holy Lyre der Hermel, which we took earlier to try and save Dvalin. That plan fell through though, as the lyre was broken by an Abyss Mage. Venti was able to repair the lyre, but then says that it was just an illusion that wouldn't last forever. After that, he ran out of the church, and we followed right behind him. However, he was ambushed by Fatui soldiers led by La Senora, our harbinger who was once a girl named Rosalind from Mondstadt. Senora would forcefully take Venti's Anemo Gnosis, before knocking him out with a swift kick. The Traveler would be knocked out as well, before waking up to find Venti gone. He had gone back to Windrise to heal again, and when we meet him there, he tells us a bit about Gnosis, Allergenes, and more useful information in the game's lore. He then tells us about the Rite of Dissension and sends us off to Liyue. Now, Venti has remained awake for the whole story of the game so far, and has also been important in many Mondstadt events. It seems that he is staying awake longer than usual, which is telling me that there is still more that he has to do. Like the other Archons, he will definitely be important in the endgame. As I said earlier, he also has ties to the Thousand Winds and therefore Istaroth, so he could play a role in a quest involving her. He is also rather secretive, which leads me to believe that he may be our key to a lot of answers at the end of our journey, although he may give them in the form of riddles or something like that. Anyways, that's pretty much it for the history of the Anemo Archon Lord Barbatos. Venti is quite a mysterious character, and I can't wait to learn more about his secrets. If you want to know more about Mondstadt lore though, I have quite a few videos that talk about each main era of the nation's history. These include the 7 Wonders of Mondstadt, the many identities of Istaroth, the Bloodstained Knight, La Senora, Blizzard Strayer, Heart of Depth, Eberhard the Manipulative, and Wanderer's Troop. Honestly, I didn't realize how much I've talked about Mondstadt recently until now. Either way, I would love to hear what other bits of lore you'd like me to cover in the comments below as well. Anyways, that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Sources and further readings are also in the description if you want to check them out. I hope you all have an amazing day, and I'll see you all in the next video.